Yo guys, welcome to my Archmage Blade Vortex character. This is a build guide for my character. My buddy got this character from a YouTube video. I'm not sure who it was, so this isn't 100% my build, so I gotta give credit to whoever that may be. So this character is based on using Archmage, so you need a big mana pool. The more mana that you have, the more damage that your spells do. So the point of this is you want to try to get at least 7,000 or 8,000 mana. That should get you through maps pretty good. And then more than that will help you with boss damage, your defense, your just clear speed, your character in general. So the more mana that you have, the better. This build's also based around mind over matter, and with the right Watcher's Eye Jewel with clarity, we should have 56% damage goes to mana before life, using Cloak of Defiance and everything. I'll get into that after. A perk with this build is it's not meta, so a lot of the gear is cheap. The jewels are really cheap, so you can get mana and 3 damage jewels for really cheap because you're not needing life, and the fact that so much damage gets taken from mana before life really helps out the fact that you don't need as much life. Build is pretty tanky. It's got pretty much max dodge and like 60%, maybe 65% spell dodge. We'll get into that later on in the video as well. It's good for boss farming, it's good for lab farming. Pretty cheap to get going, but it can be kind of rough to level from, I'm going to say all the way to Act 4, as it doesn't really shine until you get Unleash, and then it's a lot better because you can cast like 3 or 4 Blade Vortexes at a time instead of 1, so you might want to pick a different spell to level with until you get to that point. And if you really want to go crazy with this build, it can get pretty expensive for it to do good damage. Unlike last week before Archmage got nerfed, you need actual gear now, because last week I had like 2C weapons and it was good enough for clearing the game. The cons of this build is definitely chaos degen. So if you get like chaos degen ground effects or whatever, it can be really rough. It's pretty safe in maps. If you use a Quicksilver instead of the flask that I was using, you can swap out Cinder Swallow for a Quicksilver flask to give you lots of movement speed, and you can really run through maps quick. I'm just used to being kind of slower. I didn't want to get used to being fast and then be like, oh, boss time, I gotta take off my speed. We're Pathfinder and Hierophant with this build, so you'll be regenning Flask, and it's also built around Arcane Surge. I'll get into that once we go through the spell tree. Let's get on to the gear portion of the video, and I'll go through my skill tree and show you how everything works. So for the first part of the build, let's go over the skill tree, and I'll show you guys kind of how I pathed it and the reason why I took some stuff. So we started as a Scion, so when leveling I went down this way and just got all this because you get a lot of resist nodes. I skipped all the jewels right away. So you get resist here, and then I grab this life, grab this mana. Don't need skill effect variation right away, and then I grab this mana wheel, and then I come out here through the mana and head up towards the witch. By the time you get to Mind Over Matter, you should have enough mana to take it. You should be in Act 3 or Act 4 because you get a lot of mana nodes on the way. Just gear up for mana as well as life. And then I grab all of this stuff, and you should take you to Merciless Lab by then. And then by the time you get to Merciless Lab, you should be going through the Scion tree to come out of the Ranger. So once you get to Merciless Lab, I just grab these life nodes through here, so life and evasion, because this is an evasion character. Grab Heart of Oak, because stun is really annoying, and it gives you a little bit of regen, some life. Grab some mana here, grab life here, skip the crit multi for now, and grab Phase Acro. And this is when you start noticing your character's becoming a lot more tankier. And then once you're done with that, then grab your crit multi and then work towards jewel stuff. That's pretty much it for the tree. Jewels, I'll just go over jewels anyway just because we're here. For jewels, you just want mana, spell damage, dual wielding, crit multi, and then you can do spell damage or whatever. They're pretty cheap because there's no life on them. I slammed this with a Leo hoping for a good jewel, but I got the bleed thing. This would, or not that jewel, but the, another one somewhere. There we go. This is kind of like your go-to jewel, so it gets maximum mana, crit multi, damage while dual wielding, and spell damage. This cost me 20C, like 4 or 5 days into the league, so it's pretty cheap. And that's pretty much it for skill tree. For Ascendancy, I went for normal lab, I went to here, and then I grabbed Pathfinder. And got passive point for Cruel Lab. For Merciless Lab, I got Path of the Ranger and Grab Stick, Strength and Intelligence. And then I went and got Hierophant, because Hierophant gives you Arcane Surge effect, because we rely a lot on Arcane Surge in this build. Maximum Totems isn't the worst thing in the world, because we do use Totems with this build, more mana, and 8% damage taken from life before mana. And then we're going to anoint Arcane Capacitor, because we'll get into that in a minute, but you use a lot of mana with Arcane Surge. Alrighty, for the gear portion of the video, we're going to go over the gear and why I use it. So for my chest item, I got Cloak of Defiance. This is a Mind Over Matter build. So we're going to need lots of mana and everything, so this item works perfectly for this type of build. So it gives you Mind Over Matter, it gives you 10% of damage is taken as mana before life. So that gives a total of 40%, and then lots of mana and mana regen. For my boots, I use Omio-san. I don't know how to pronounce that. Make fun of me if you want, I don't care. You're going to want to make sure that these are item level 75 or higher. So the reason why these boots are good is they give you lots of mana, resist, and movement speed, but they also give you 2% to dodge attack and spell hits per 500 mana. Up to 20%. So if you have 5,000 mana, they give you 20% chance to dodge attacks and spells. So combine that with phase acro and acrobatics. That's a lot of dodge, a lot of defense. The losing 7% mana per second is not that big of a deal. And you have onslaught while not on low mana, so you always have onslaught pretty much. For my helmet, I use Sirius's helmet. It's really good. It gives you lots of life, lots of mana, and also the Transfiguration of Mind increases and reductions to maximum mana also apply to damage at 30% of the value. So I believe I get close to 400% increased mana in this build. So 30% of that is 120% increased damage. So that's why these are good. And yeah, just pretty much life, mana, armor, ES. You don't really need the armor, but I guess the ES is okay. For my amulet, I use Adziri's Forrible. Man, I cannot talk today. It gives lots of mana regen, lots of mana, and yeah, that's pretty much what you want. A good roll with the increased maximum mana. So yeah, and then when you put Catalyst on here, it gets even better. So that gives you a big chunk of mana and a big chunk of mana regen. Is like this amulet has got like 124 or 122% mana regen, so that's pretty good as well. And going back to the boots, I almost forgot. The reason why you want item level 75 is you want to get this enchant on it with 70% increased mana regen if you cast a spell recently. And it will only appear on items that are 75 or higher, so you might have to run some Uber Labs until you get it. It's pretty common. You probably get it within 5. For gloves, we use Nace Gentle Touch. Hopefully I said that right. You don't have to worry about these until later, but they give you lots of mana, life, temp chains on monsters, and then when monsters have temp chains and die, they blind everything else around it, so it will increase your chance of evading attacks by quite a bit. And it also gives you a little bit of boom boom to help you with map clearing. So those gloves are really good. For my rings, I just went resist, life, and mana. That's pretty much all you need. Just get some good good mana and good life, and then put some fertile catalyst on there. Increases it even more. I put the tower anointment on there because I usually just use meteor towers when I do blight. This ring cost me an exalt, and so did this one. They're both pretty close to the same. If you can get increased damage on it, great. If not, well, take what you can get. And then for my belt, it's pretty much the same thing, except I use a Stygian Vise because I want to put an Abyssal Jewel in it. So I just went life, mana, and resist. You could probably get a better one, like get a good Elder one with % life and everything on it as well. So it would give you a little bit more HP. If you can get this build to 4,500 HP, that's pretty good, but that will cost some serious currency for gear investment. And then for Jewel, I put in life, mana, and fire damage to spells. The reason why I put fire damage to spells was the fact that we use a Cinder Swallow urn, and you get increased damage if you ignite an enemy. So we just needed to source fire damage from somewhere, so I used an Abyssal Jewel instead of relying on a weapon. And then for weapons, you just want mana, spell damage, and crit. If you get a good Elder weapon that gains physical damage as extra cold or whatever, that's great as well, because it just gives you that more. Ideally, you would want lightning, because we're focused mainly around lightning, so we got lightning penetration and everything. So that's good. This weapon is actually not very good. I'm probably going to upgrade it, but it's got a good chunk of mana, but I could easily get more damage on it. I just got this because I was trying to switch over to daggers from, I can't remember what weapon I was using the level. And then for flasks, we just want an instant life flask of removing something. You don't really need ignite removal, but like bleed or anything like that would be good. Quartz flask, because this is going to help your dodge out. So currently, without the quartz flask, my dodge is 60% for attacks, 50% for spells. Hit the quartz flask, it goes up to 72 and 62%. So it makes you quite, it's almost like having a max block build, not quite. So there's Cinder Swallow as well. This is going to cause it when you ignite an enemy, you take increased damage. You want to get one a chance to avoid being stunned, because stun sucks on this build, and with the stun on the flask and the stun that we get off the tree, it's like 75-85%. And then it just charges, fill up quick, and you restore your health as you're killing stuff. It's pretty good for mapping. But I mainly use it for bossing. I put it on a map sometimes. You can also use just a Quicksilver flask. Movement speed. It works good. Diamond flask for more crit. Have your crit being lucky. It's always a good thing. I have it as my curse removal as well. Here I have bleed removal, so you want to have bleed and curse removal. And then enduring internal mana flask of something to help you with stuff as well. I usually put of heat on it, so it prevent. You always have this flask up, so it'll just help you prevent from being frozen. Also, I would keep a Quicksilver flask of curing for when you fight the Hunter Guardian guy. I forget what he's called. The Chaos dude. Because it'll help. Poison will kill you with him. That's one of the big negatives with this build is chaos damage. So something to remove poison with him. That's good. If you're just running a normal map with poison mod on it, it's fine. You can keep your flask up and everything at all times. But this is just for the Hunter part. And then for my weapon swap, I just have this leveling stuff. I got a Haku weapon here. I found Haku, he had this, so I just have my Empower in there. 6% in quality plus 20. Gives you even more EXP gain. It's actually almost level 3. Wish me luck for slamming it. And then here I just got nothing. I just put my Archmage because I'm leveling another Archmage because my other one bricked. I lost a lot of quality. So that's it for the gear part of the video. I'll go over my jewels real quick if you want to see them. Probably a little important. So you want to get a Watcher's Eye with clarity on it. So start off with mana recovery rate while afflicted by clarity. It's pretty good. And then once you get more currency and stuff, you're going to want to have that mana recovery rate plus damage taken from mana before life. It can go up to 10%. So that'll make your effective life pool be a lot higher than what it is now. I don't know how much those jewels are. I'm currently saving up for mine. And then for jewels, you mainly just want to just get spell damage while dual wielding, maximum mana, crit multi, and like spell damage or something. They're usually pretty cheap because there's no life on them. This is your ideal jewel right here. It's pretty good. I bought it corrupted. It cost me 20C. For implicits for jewels, since we're in Harvest League, that's how I got this one on here. The 10% chance to avoid being stunned is actually really good in my opinion, because it almost makes me immune to stun. I got 50 from the flask and 20 there, 8 there, so that would be 78, so 88% chance to avoid being stunned. If I can get another one of these, I'll probably be immune to being stunned. or it'll happen very rarely. I showed you that one, and I think that's all I got for jewels. For my cluster jewels, I have a medium cluster for area damage, and I went with the magnifier. Here we go. So area of effect, area damage, and crit multi. It's just a little more AoE is good. There's lots of jewels you can probably use, but that's the one I went with. So one I had 3 to all resist area damage. It just helps a lot out with gearing. Last league I had to put resist on my weapons, so I was trying everything in my power to not have to do that this week. And then for a small cluster, you just want a mana one with openness, because this will increase your mana like huge. So here, I can refund it real quick. So we got 9909, 9395. So it ups that much. Gives you a big chunk of mana. So that's a big chunk of damage, a big chunk of defense, and everything. So that's what I did for that. I'm almost been tempted to, if I get a lot of money, is to get a Voices Jewel and use 3 of these, because it would probably put my mana up to 11 or 12,000, I would imagine, after qualitying all my gear and everything, and get more damage. I think that damage will be more than the all these, and the defense will be there, the mana regen will be higher. It's just pretty much a win-win, but I'm not sure how much voices are this week, so maybe if I decide to dump a bunch of currency. So that's it for the gear part. When it comes to gems and your links, we'll go over a few things here. So for my gloves, I have Power Charge on Crit, Storm Brand, Calling Strike, and Cast when damage taken. So what this is going to do is whenever you get hit, it's going to shoot out a Storm Brand, and then it's going to crit stuff, and then you're going to get Power Charges from it, so that'll help get your crit up. Calling Strike will immediately kill a monster when it's below 10% HP. So you can level up Calling Strike. Make sure you level up Power Charge on Crit, because the higher it is, the easier it is to gain Power Charges. And then for Cast when damage taken and Storm Brand, you want it at level 1. Just so right when you get hit, it shoots one out. For my my boots, I have a Portal Gem, because I'm too lazy to pick up portals. I have Dash, Second Wind, and Increased Area of Effect. I only have AoE here, so I can switch it out with Conk Effect for when I'm doing bosses or whatever. For this weapon, we have Arcane Surge, Arcane Cloak, and Increased Duration. I really need to flip that. So what this does is it offers a huge defensive bonus. So if I use it right now, it gives me a shield of 6,327. So that's pretty good defensively. But this spell also gains, since I have it with Arcane Surge and it's maxed, because it uses a lot of mana, it'll easily be able to do 400 mana for supported skills, so you can really juice this up. So it gives a lot of mana regen, more spell damage, stuff like that. It just increases your damage and cast speed like crazy. So when it comes to mana regen, so we have our boot enchant that does that, so that puts it up to 1486. Let me get my mana full here, and then I use that. It's 2,274, and then add your mana on top of it, whatever that is, and probably over 3,000, and that's pretty nuts. So that's what we do with that. So it's got massive defense, massive offense, and yeah, it's just a win-win. For my helmet, I have Spell Totem with Wave of Conviction, multiple totems, and Physical to Lightning. So the whole point of this is to debuff the lightning resist of a monster. So the highest damage taken from the monster, if it's lightning, that's why we use Physical Lightning, then it's going to lower the resist by 25%. So that's good. Good for that. And then for our chest, we have a Cloak of Defiance, obviously, and then we have Valblade Vortex, level 2020. We have Concentrated Effect or Increased AoE, depending on what you're doing in the maps. Increased critical damage, I just flipped that, so that's why it's low level. Awakened Unleashed, you want to use the Awakened one because one, it will recharge the charges faster at level 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Also, unlike regular Awakened gem, which gives 0.5% damage per quality, Awakened version gives 1%, so you get 20% increased spell damage instead of 10. You got Archmage. I was very unfortunate when I corrupted this and the quality went down. You want the quality up because 2% quality increases the mana cost of your skills by 1, and the more mana cost that your skills cost, the more damage you do. And then we have Awakened Lightning Penetration, so it gives more lightning penetration than the gem. Plus, just like the Unleash, instead of 0.5 damage a level, it gives 1% damage per level, up to 20. And that's it for the build. Let me know what you guys think. I really enjoy it. It's really tanky. It fits my style really well. It's good for lab. It's good for bossing, killing. I don't know Uber Elder Fight very well, so I can't really speak for that. I'm sure it'll be fine, but Shaper, it's easy. All the Guardians, except the Lightning guy, he can be very mean because he'll just shotgun you with his lightning things on the ground. It's hard to see it at times. He's the only one that kills me consistently. Awakener's good, and I have never killed Uber at Zeri. I suck so bad at that fight. There's too much going on. I panic, and yeah, but I'm sure he can handle that as well. So thanks for watching, and have a good one. If you try the build, let me know what you think of it.